Vasily Petrovich heard a metallic clang in the grass by the river. What could it be in such a remote place? He bent down and froze. A hunting rifle lay half buried in the sand. There was an inscription scratched on the butt. If you are reading this, I am already dead. VM 2019. But how was this possible? Vladimir Mikhailovich Sokolov had disappeared 8 years ago. In 2017, Vasily remembered the case in detail. At the time, he was still working as an investigator in the district department. The search lasted for months. The dogs lost the trail. At the same river dot, and now a rifle with a date 2 years after his disappearance. Vasily took out his phone. There was no signal. He photographed his find and carefully wrapped the rifle in his jacket. He would figure it out at home. His heart was pounding like it did in his youth when he was working on difficult cases. Before we begin the story, please write which city you are from. We are very interested in where you are watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and then leave your rating. Something was very wrong here. At home. Vasily laid the rifle on the table. He examined every scratch. The barrel was in perfect condition. Someone had taken care of the weapon until the very end. There were other marks on the stock. Notches. He counted them exactly 730 days. Had Vladimir been counting the days in the forest? 730 days is 2 years. That means he lived in the forest from 2017 to 2019. And then something happened. Vasily opened the old case files. Sokolov's wife was Lyudmila Petrovna. She had reported him missing. She cried during questioning. Was she genuinely upset or was she acting? At the time, he had no doubts about her honesty. But now he had questions. The next morning, Vasily went to Lyudmila's house. She lived in the same building, but the name on the door was different, Krylova. So she had remarried. That's normal for a widow, but so soon. The door was opened by a man of about 45. He was strong, with a military bearing. Who are you looking for? Lyudmila Petrovna, about her first husband. The man tensed up. Come in. I'm Sergei, her current husband. Who are you? Vasily Petrovich Gromov, former investigator. I'm conducting a private investigation. Lyudmila appeared in the room. She hadn't changed much. Only her gaze had become harder. What do you want? Volodya has been dead for 8 years. Yesterday, I found his gun. It has an inscription dated 2019. Lyudmila turned pale. Sergei clenched his fists. That's impossible, she whispered. It's possible. I brought some photos. Vasily showed her the pictures. Lyudmila clutched her heart. That's his handwriting. But how? Lyudmila Petrovna, tell me the truth. What happened before your husband disappeared? She was silent. Sergei put his hand on her shoulder. Speak. He'll find out anyway, since he found the gun. Volodya had debts, Lyudmila said quietly. Large debts. He borrowed money from bad people. He said he was going to open a hunting shop. But he spent all the money on cards. How much did he owe? 3 million rubles. Vasily whistled. For a hunter from the countryside, that was a huge sum. Who did he owe it to? Sergei would be better to tell you that. He used to work as a security guard for those people. Sergei nodded. The Karpov brothers. They controlled the entire area. Volodya borrowed money from them, putting up his house as collateral. When he couldn't pay them back, they threatened to take everything, including his wife. What do you mean, including his wife? The Karpovs had a network. There were different ways to work off debts. They wanted to send Lyudmila to the city, to a special institution. Lyudmila began to cry. Volodya said he'd rather die. A week later, he disappeared in the forest. And you decided he committed suicide? What else could we think? He left a note. He asked us to forgive him and not to. Look for his body. Where's the note? I burned it right away. Why keep something like that? Vasily realized that the note was fake. Vladimir had faked his suicide and gone into the forest. But why did he die 2 years later? Sergei, how did you meet Ludmila? I was guarding her during the search. The Karpovs hired me. They wanted to make sure she didn't know where Volodya was. And then ... we fell in love. Did the Karpovs forgive the debt? Sergei and Lyudmila exchanged glances. No, they didn't. I'd paid off the debt. I gave them my savings. 3 million from a security guard. I had savings. And Volodya's. Insurance helped. Something didn't add up. Insurance is paid out years after a person is declared dead. But Sergei spoke as if the money had appeared immediately. When exactly did you get married? A year after Volodya disappeared. And when did you receive the insurance money? Ludmila hesitated. Well, a year and a half later, Volodya was declared dead. Too fast for Russian bureaucracy. Usually the process takes years. Do you have any contact information for the Karpov brothers? Why do you need them? Sergei asked sharply. I want to hear their version of events. The older brother died 3 years ago. The younger one is in prison. The case is closed. How convenient. All the witnesses are unavailable. Vasily said goodbye and left. On the way home, he analyzed the conversation. Too many coincidences. To smooth the story at home, he examined the gun again. Something glinted inside the barrel. Vasily took out a pair of tweezers and pulled out a rolled-up piece of paper. The note was written in the same handwriting as the inscription on the butt. Sergei deceived everyone. He worked for the Karpovs. He knew where I was hiding. He led them to the dugout. He told Lyudka that I was dead. He married her and took the insurance money. If you find this, look for my dugout in the pine forest behind the old apiary. There, you will find the evidence. V.M. So Vladimir had been hiding in the forest for 2 years. He built a dugout. And Sergei betrayed him and killed him. But why did Vladimir manage to hide the note in the rifle? Vasily took a lantern and went into the forest. He remembered the old apiary. He used to collect honey there with his grandfather when he was a child. Behind the apiary was a pine forest. He found the dugout after an hour of searching. The entrance was camouflaged with branches and turf. Inside was a real dwelling. There was a bed, a table, and a stove. Calendars with crossed-out days hung on. The walls in the corner stood a safe. Vasily tried to open it. The lock was simple, Ludmila's date of birth. Inside were documents, photographs, and a voice recorder. He turned on the recording. Vladimir's voice trembled. Today is March 15th, 2019. If anyone is listening to this, it means I am no longer alive. I have been hiding here for 2 years. I hoped that the Karpovs would forget about the debt. Lyudka thinks I'm dead. Sergei told her so. But this morning I saw Seryusa in the forest. He was walking straight to the dugout. That means he knows where I am. He knew all this time. And he kept quiet. Why would he do that? Why marry Lyudka and pretend that I'm dead? I get it. Insurance. 3 million rubles. If I'm officially dead, the money will go to my wife. And then Sergei will marry her and take everything. It's a clever plan. It's a pity I figured it out too late. Sergei isn't alone. There are 2 strangers with him. They have weapons. I can see them through the window. I've already hidden the note in the rifle. If they find the dugout, they'll find the truth. Lyudka, forgive me. I wanted what was best. But I ended up ruining us both. Sergei is banging on the door. He says he's come to help. He's lying. I can see him holding a gun behind his back. That's it. They're breaking down the door. If anyone is listening, punish them. For me and for Lyudka. The recording stopped. Vasily turned off the tape recorder. His hands were shaking. So Sergei really did kill Vladimir. And Lyudmila knew nothing about it. Or did she? There were more documents in the safe. Vasily looked through them. Information about Vladimir's debts, correspondence with the Karpov brothers, and photographs. In one of them, Lyudmila was hugging Sergei. The date on the back was October 2016. 6 months before Vladimir disappeared. So Lyudmila was cheating on her husband. And she knew about Sergei's plan. They decided together to get rid of Vladimir and collect the insurance money. But then why was she so scared when she saw the photo of the gun? Vasily put the documents and the voice recorder in his bag. He had to go to the police immediately. He had evidence of murder. But as soon as he left the dugout, he heard the crackling of branches. Someone was walking through the forest, straight towards him. Vasily turned off the flashlight and hid behind a tree. In the darkness, he could make out 3 figures. One of them was Sergei. "He was here," said Sergei. "He hid in this dugout for 2 years. "Are you sure no one else knows about this place?" asked an unfamiliar voice. "I'm sure. Besides the 3 of us, only the dead man knew. And that investigator won't be sticking his nose in anymore. No, he won't. Not after tonight, that's for sure." Vasily realized that they had come to kill him. Sergei had found out that he had found the gun and decided to get rid of the witness. He had to leave. But how? They were standing between him and the path. "Let's split up," said Sergei. "You go to the river. That's where he found the gun. He might go back there. We'll search the dugout." One of them went to the river, but 2 remained. Vasily waited for them to enter the dugout. Then he quietly moved around it. It was 1.5 kilometers to the car. If he managed to get away unnoticed, he would have time to get to the police. But a 4th man was waiting for him on the path. "Stop. Hands up." Vasily slowly raised his hands. They were holding a bag with evidence. "You're persistent, old man. You shouldn't have found that rifle. You could have lived a quiet life picking mushrooms." "Who are you?" "We're the ones who clean up after Sergei. He's good at planning, but he's a poor cover-up artist." The man took out a pistol. "Nothing personal. Just business." Vasily closed his eyes. He thought of his wife, his children, his grandchildren. Was it all going to end here in the forest, like Vladimir? A shot rang out deafeningly, but there was no pain. Vasily opened his eyes. The killer lay in front of him with a bullet in his head. A man in camouflage with a rifle emerged from behind the trees. "You got here just in time," said the stranger. "I've been watching these bastards for a long time." "Who are you?" "I'm Pavel, the gamekeeper. I knew Volodya Sokolov. He was a good man. He didn't deserve to die like that." "Did you see how he was killed?" "Yes, I did. But I couldn't prove anything. Syuza was friends with the cops." "Do you have any evidence now?" Vasily showed him the bag. A tape recorder with a recording. "Documents, photographs. Then it's time to get out of here." The others heard the shot. "They'll be here any minute." They quickly made their way to Vasily's car. Behind them, they could hear shouting and the crackling of branches. "Sergei isn't stupid," said Pavel. "He'll realize that Misha is dead and run away. We have to get there before he kills Lyudmila. Why would he kill his wife? She's the only witness. If you go to the police with the evidence, they'll question her, and she might remember something she shouldn't." They got to the car and quickly drove to the village. Vasily called the police, but the cell phone reception was poor. Sergei and Lyudmila's house was dark. There were no cars in the yard. "It's too late," said Pavel. "They're gone." But a neighbor looked out the window. "Are you looking for the Krylovs? They left for the station an hour ago." Lyudmila was crying. Sergei was pushing her into the car. "Which station?" "The train station. The train to Moscow leaves at midnight." Vasily looked at his watch. It was 11:30. "We'll make it if we hurry." They rushed to the station. On the way, Vasily finally got through to the police and told the officer on duty everything. "We're on our way," they replied. "Stop them at all costs." The station was empty. The train had already arrived. Vasily saw Sergei on the platform. He was dragging Lyudmila by the arm. She was resisting. "Sergei!" Vasily shouted. "Stop!" Sergei turned around. He saw Vasily and Pavel. He took out his gun. "Don't come any closer. I'll shoot. You'll kill your wife? Like you killed Vladimir? It's your own fault. You couldn't just die in the forest. You even made recordings." Lyudmila broke free and ran to Vasily. "He's gone mad. He says Volodya was alive until 2019, that I knew about it. Didn't you know?" asked Vasily, showing her a photo of her hugging Sergei. Lyudmila turned pale. It's not what you think, ... Shut up!" Sergei shouted. "Get on the train." But Lyudmila didn't move. "No, Sergei. Enough. If you killed Volodya, I'm not going anywhere with you. I killed him. So what? He disappeared on his own. He abandoned you. He disappeared because he was afraid for me. And you betrayed him." Sergei pointed the gun at Lyudmila. "Then you'll all die." But Pavel was quicker. His shot beat Sergei's by a fraction of a second. Sergei fell onto the tracks. The gun fell out of his hands. Lyudmila stood in shock. Vasily approached her. "Tell me the truth. Did you know that Vladimir was hiding in the forest?" She shook her head. "I didn't know. I swear. Sergei said he found his body by the river, that wolves had torn him apart. I believed him." "And your affair with Sergei?" "It started after Volodya disappeared. Sergei comforted me. He said he would protect me. I was alone, scared ... The police arrived at the station. Vasily handed them all the evidence. Pavel confirmed his testimony. The case was closed, but one mystery remained. Why didn't Vladimir try to return home? Why did he live in a dugout for 2 years? The answer was found in the last recordings on the dictaphone. "I can no longer live with this debt hanging over my head. Ludka will only be safe if I disappear forever. The Karpovs will forget about her, and I will wait in the forest until they die or go to prison. Sergei promised to look after her. He's a good guy. Ludka will be happy with him. It's just a pity that she'll never know the truth, but it's better that way. Let her think that I'm a coward who abandoned his family. It's better than knowing that I'm alive and can't come back to her." Vladimir Sokolov turned out to be not a coward, but a hero. He sacrificed himself for his wife, and Sergei used his nobility for his own ends. Lyudmila only found out the truth now. It was too late, but she found out. A week later, she came to. "Vasily, I want to put up a monument to Volodya on the spot where the dugout was. Is that okay?" "Yes, it is. He deserved it. I also want to return the insurance money. That money was paid for with my husband's blood. Where should I return it? I don't know. Maybe to an orphanage? Volodya loved children." Vasily nodded. That would be the right thing to do. Lyudmila left. Vasily remained sitting on the porch, thinking about how thin the line between heroism and cowardice is, how easy it was to be deceived by people, and how important it was to get to the truth, even when it hurt. The gun by the river was not just a find. It was the voice of a dead man demanding justice, and justice prevailed, although it was too late. 3 days after Sergei's funeral, a woman in her 30s with a teenage boy came to Vasily's house. She looked like Lyudmila, but younger and prettier. "Are you the investigator who found out the truth about Volodya Sokolov?" she asked. "Yes. Who are you?" "Anna Mikhailovna. This is my son, Dima. We came from Kostroma." Vasily invited them into the house. The boy was silent and stared at the floor. "Volodya was Dima's father," Anna said. "We lived together for 5 years, until he disappeared. Vasili's breath caught in his throat. So Vladimir had a second family. Does Lyudmila know? No, she doesn't. Volodya kept our relationship a secret from her. He said he would divorce his wife as soon as he paid off his debts. Did you know about the debts? Yes, I did. Volodya told me everything. About the Karpovs, about the threats. I suggested we run away together, but he refused. The boy finally spoke. Dad said that if anything happened, I should contact Investigator Gromov. You knew him, didn't you? Yes, I did. He was a good man. Dad left a letter for you, in case something happened to him. Dima took out an envelope marked, to Vasily Petrovich Gromov, to be opened only in the event of my death. Vasily opened the envelope. Inside was a letter and a key. Vasily Petrovich, if you are reading this, it means I've been killed. I knew it would happen. Too many people wanted me dead. This key is for a safe deposit box at the bank. The box number is 247. There are documents in there that explain everything. And money for Anya and Dima. I am no saint. I made many mistakes, but I love my children. Both of them. Dima from Anya and Katya from Lyudmila. Sergei doesn't know about the safe deposit box. No one knows. Only you now. Protect my children. I had serious enemies. The Karpovs are just the tip of the iceberg. V.M. Sokolov. Does Lyudmila have a daughter? Vasily asked. Katya. She's 10 now. She lives with her grandmother in Tver. Lyudmila sent her there after Volodya disappeared. So Lyudmila hid that from him too. And he thought they didn't have any children. Anna Mikhailovna, tell us everything you know about Vladimir's enemies. The Karpovs weren't the worst. Volodya worked for them. He transported goods. Then he found out they were drugs and refused to do it anymore. That's when they enslaved him with debt. What other enemies? There were people from Moscow. Volodya called them serious guys. He said they were worse than any mafia. Government officials? I don't know. Maybe. Volodya was afraid of them more than anyone else. Vasily realized that the matter was much more complicated than he had thought. Let's go to the bank. Let's see what Vladimir left behind at the bank. They were met with trouble. The manager said that the safe deposit box had been sealed by court order. When did this happen? Yesterday. A man from the prosecutor's office came. He said the safe deposit box was connected to a criminal case. What name was on the document? I don't remember. I can check ... here. Prosecutor Semenov. Vasily knew all the prosecutors in the district. Semenov was not among them. Can I see the document? Of course. The document looked official, but the signature was forged. Vasily had seen the district prosecutor's real signature hundreds of times. Did you check the documents? Why? Everything seemed fine. Describe the man who brought the documents. About 40 years old, tall, with a scar on his cheek. Very polite. Anna turned pale. That's Tolik Razin. He worked with Volodya. He delivered cargo for the Karpovs. So not all of Vladimir's enemies are dead, said Vasily. They left the bank. Vasily wondered what to do next. He had to find Razin and find out what he had taken from the safe deposit box. Anna Mikhailovna? Where could Razin be? I don't know. He disappeared after the Karpovs were arrested. Where did he live? In Moscow. But I don't know his address. Vasily decided to turn to Pavel. The gamekeeper knew the forest better than anyone. Maybe he had heard something about Razin. He found Pavel in the forest. He was checking his traps. Tolik Razin? I know him. I saw him the other day in the village. He asked about you. About me? Yes. He wanted to know where you live and if you have a family. What did you tell him? Nothing. I don't trust that guy. Where can I find him? He rents a house from Maria Ivanovna, on the outskirts of the village. Vasily went there with Anna and Dima. The house was empty. Maria Ivanovna said that Raisin had left that morning. Where did he go? He didn't say. He just paid a week's rent in advance and asked her to say he wasn't there if anyone asked. What was he doing here? He was meeting with some people. They arrived in expensive cars. They talked for a long time. What did these people look like? City folk, in suits. One was old and gray-haired. The other was young, with a tattoo on his arm. Vasily realized that these were the serious men from Moscow. In the evening, he took Anna and Dima to a hotel. He promised to find Raisin and return the contents of the safe deposit box. But when Vasily returned home, a surprise awaited him. The door had been broken down. The house had been turned upside down. There was a note on the table. Stop digging. Otherwise, you'll regret it. Just like your friend Volodya regretted it. Vasily realized that the game had become deadly. He called Pavel. Come to my place. Right away. Pavel arrived half an hour later. What happened? The house was searched. They're threatening me. Get out of the village before it's too late. I can't. Vladimir's children are in danger. Then we have to protect them. How? Take them far away. I have a friend in Siberia. He'll take them in and won't ask any questions. Vasily agreed. But first he had to warn Lyudmila. Her daughter was also in danger. He called Lyudmila. Where's Katya? At my mother's in Tver. Why? They know about her. Get the child as far away as possible. Who knows? What are you talking about? Vladimir had enemies worse than the Karpovs. They killed him. And now they want to get rid of everyone who knows the truth. Including the children? Including the children. Lyudmila began to cry into the phone. What should I do? Go to Tver tomorrow morning. Pick up Katya and leave. Go far away. For a month or two. And you? I'll find these people. And I'll put an end to this. In the morning, Vasily took Anna and Dima to the train station. Pavel went with them to see them off to Siberia. When will we be back? Dima asked. When your father's killers are in prison or dead. Will you find them? I will. I promise. The train departed. Vasily was left alone with his enemies. First, he went to the regional center. In the prosecutor's office archives, he found the Karpov brothers' files. He studied their connections and accomplices. Tolik Raisin really did work for them. But he wasn't just a driver. He was the link between the Karpovs and Moscow's criminal authorities. The case mentioned the names Belov, Semyonov, and Krotov. All three had been involved in a drug trafficking case, but had escaped punishment. Semyonov was the same man who had posed as a prosecutor at the bank. Vasily began to study their biographies. Belov was a former security officer who had been fired for ties to crime. Semyonov was a lawyer who defended major drug dealers. Krotov was a businessman who laundered criminal proceeds. All three lived in Moscow, but often visited the region on business. Vasily decided to go to Moscow. He had to find them and find out what they had taken from the bank deposit box. In Moscow, he stayed with an old colleague, former investigator Viktor Sergeyevich. I heard about your case, said Viktor. It's a dangerous story. Do you know these people? Vasily showed him photos from the archives. I know Belov. I worked with him once. He's a bad man. A killer. Where can I find him? He has a security company. His office is on Tverskaya. And the others? Semenov handles cases in the Moscow City Court. Krotov has a restaurant in the center. Can you help? Whatever I can. Viktor gave Vasily the addresses and phone numbers. He warned him about the danger. These people won't stop at murder. Be careful. Vasily began following Semyonov. The lawyer lived in an expensive apartment on Patriarch's Ponds. He drove a Mercedes with a chauffeur. Vasily spent 3 days studying his routine. Semyonov worked in court until 6 in the evening. Then he went to the sports club. He returned home at 10 on Thursday evening. Vasily intercepted him in the stairwell. Igor Petrovich Semyonov? Yes. Who are you? Investigator Gromov. I want to talk to you about Vladimir Sokolov. Semyonov turned pale. I don't know anyone by that name. You know him. You took documents from his bank safe deposit box. I don't understand what you're talking about. Then I'll explain. Sokolov worked for you. You transported drugs. Then he refused. You killed him. That's nonsense. I have an alibi. You didn't kill him yourself. You used a front man. Semyonov tried to get to the elevator. Vasily blocked his way. Where are you rushing off to? Let's talk calmly. Step aside, or I'll call security. Go ahead. I'll tell them about the drugs. Semyonov stopped. What do you want? The truth. And the documents from the safe. Deposit box? What documents? The ones that prove your involvement in the murder. I didn't kill anyone, but the order was given. It was given to Raisin. At the mention of Raisin, Semyonov flinched. Raisin is dead. 3 days ago. How was he dead? He was hit by a train. An accident. Vasily understood that Raisin had been eliminated as a witness. And the documents? They were burned, along with Raisin. You're lying. Raisin sold them to you. Maybe he did, but they're gone now. Semyonov tried to get past Vasily. Vasily grabbed his arm. Stop. We're not finished. Let go. Help. A guard appeared in the doorway. What's going on here? This man is harassing me, said Semyonov. Your documents, demanded the security guard. Vasily showed his ID. Retired investigator. I'm conducting a private investigation. A private investigation does not give you the right to detain people. I'm not detaining you. I'm just talking. The conversation is over, said Semyonov. Don't come near me again. He quickly made his way to the elevator. The security guard escorted Vasily to the exit. Don't come back here. Otherwise, I'll call the police. Vasily went out into the street. His first attempt had failed. But he had learned the most important thing. Raisin was dead. That meant he had to look for other ways. He decided to try Krotov. The Golden Calf restaurant was located in the center of Moscow. It was an expensive establishment for wealthy clients. Vasily arrived there in the evening. He asked to see the owner. What is this about? Asked the manager. Personal. Tell him it's about Vladimir Sokolov. 5 minutes later, Krotov appeared. He was a heavy-set man of about 50 with gold teeth. Come into the office. Let's talk. The office was luxuriously furnished. Paintings in gold frames hung on the walls. I'm listening, said Krotov. Vladimir Sokolov. Do you remember him? Vaguely. He worked in transportation. You worked for you. You transported drugs. Are you accusing me of drug? Trafficking. Yes. Prove it. I will, as soon as I find the documents that Sokolov hid. What documents? Delivery lists. Names. Amounts. Krotov poured himself some whiskey. Want a drink? I don't drink on the job. On the job? You're retired. On duty. To the man I killed. Sokolov isn't dead. He disappeared. He was killed in 2019, in the forest, on your orders. Do you seriously think I'm a murderer? I think you organized the murder. Krotov laughed. You know what I'm going to do? Call the police for slander. Go ahead. I'll tell them about your business. My business is clean. I'm an honest businessman. An honest businessman. Doesn't kill witnesses. Who did I kill? Raisin. 3 days ago. Krotov stopped smiling. Raisin was hit by a train. An accident. How convenient. All your witnesses die in accidents. What do you want? Justice. And safety for Sokolov's children. What children? You know who I mean. Krotov stood up and walked over to the window. The children are innocent. If they don't stick their noses into other people's business, nothing will happen to them. And if they do? The same thing that happened to their father. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. Vasily realized that negotiations were useless. These people would stop at nothing. Then it's war. War? Krotov smiled. Old man, you don't understand who you're dealing with. We'll bury you like Sokolov, and no one will ever know the truth. They will. I've taken care of that. How? I recorded our conversation. My people have copies. If anything happens to me, they'll take them to the prosecutor's office. Krotov quickly scanned Vasily with his eyes. I don't see a tape recorder, because it's hidden. You're bluffing. Check. Krotov thought for a moment. Then he pressed a button on the table. Pasha, come in. A burly man in a black suit entered the office. Show the guest out. Delicately, understood. Pasha approached Vasily. Let's go, Grandpa. I'll walk you out. I'll go myself. No, I'd better walk you out. You never know. They left the office. Pasha walked behind, breathing down his neck. There's an alley around the corner, he said quietly. Let's talk there. About what? About health. Your health. Pasha stopped in the alley. Listen, Grandpa, the boss is nervous. And when he's nervous, I have to work. What kind of work? All kinds, sometimes unpleasant. For example, telling people they're making mistakes. I see. You intimidate them. I don't intimidate them. I explain. Do you have grandchildren? Yes. It would be a shame if something happened to them. Vasily felt his blood boil. If you touch the children, I'll kill you. How will you kill them, old man? With your prosthetic leg? I'll find something. Pasha laughed. You're funny. But my boss said to explain it nicely. This is your last chance. Explain. Forget about Sokolov. Forget about the documents. Live peacefully in your retirement. And if I don't forget, then you'll have to forget everything. Forever. Pasha patted Vasily on the shoulder and left. Vasily was left alone in the dark alley. He realized that time was running out. He had to act quickly and decisively. But how could a single pensioner defeat an entire criminal organization? Then he remembered Belov, the third member of the group, a former security officer. Maybe he had some weaknesses? Tomorrow he would deal with Belov. But first, he needed to find a place to hide. Hotels were out of the question. They were easy to find. He needed a place where no one would look for him. He remembered an old acquaintance, Mikhail Petrovich. They had served in the army together 40 years ago. Mikhail lived in the Moscow suburbs, in a cottage community. Vasily reached him around midnight. Mikhail greeted him like a long-lost brother. Vasya, it's been ages. What brings you here? Trouble. Can I stay the night? Of course. Tell me what happened. Vasily gave him a brief account. Mikhail listened and shook his head. You've gotten involved with some serious people. They're not kidding around. I know, but there's nowhere to retreat. Then you have to strike first, and strike hard. How? I have some acquaintances in the authorities. Maybe they can help. Officially? Unofficially. For old time's sake. Give it a try. In the morning, Mikhail made several phone calls. The result was unexpected. It's no good, he said. Belov, Semyonov, and Krotov are under protection. Someone very influential is covering for them. Who? Unknown. But the call came from the very top. They said not to touch them. So official methods won't work. They won't. That leaves unofficial methods. What kind? Various, but dangerous. Vasily realized he was completely alone. The state would not protect him. The police would not help him. All that remained was personal revenge. But how could he carry it out? Then he remembered Vladimir's notes. There was more than just a tape recorder in the dugout. There were also documents. Perhaps there was something important among them? He decided to go back to the village. It was risky, but there was no other way out. The dugout was under surveillance. Vasily saw footprints around the entrance. Someone had checked the place, but everything was still inside. The documents were where he had left them. Vasily carefully reread all the papers, and he found what he was looking for: a contract for the supply of weapons, signed by Belov, Semenov, and Krotov. The weapons were intended for militants in Chechnya. The date of the contract was 1995, the height of the First Chechen War. If these documents got into the press, there would be a scandal. Supplying weapons to militants was treason. Vasily photographed the documents and sent copies to several journalists. Then he called a major newspaper. "This is the editorial office of Pravda. Good afternoon. I have information about arms deliveries to Chechen militants in 1995. I'm listening. The documents are signed by well-known businessmen. I have photocopies. Send them to my email. It would be better to meet in person. Okay. Come to the office tomorrow." Vasily arranged a meeting. Now he had a plan. If he couldn't defeat his enemies by force, he could try to discredit them. But his enemies weren't sleeping. When Vasily returned to Mikhail that evening, bad news awaited him. "There was a call from Siberia," Mikhail said. "It was Pavel with the children." "What happened?" "They were found. The house where they were hiding was attacked." "Are the children okay?" "They're alive, but Pavel is wounded. He was shot in the shoulder." "Where are they now?" "In the hospital. Under police guard. We have to go to them." "No. It's a trap. They want you to come. Then what should we do?" "End this nightmare. At any cost." Vasily realized that there was no time left. Tomorrow morning he would go to the editorial office. And in the evening he would go to Krotov for a final conversation. But first he had to call Ludmila. Find out how her daughter was doing. Ludmila's phone did not answer. Vasily became worried and called the Tver police. "Duty officer. Good evening. Could you check an address? There should be a woman with a child there. What's this about?" "They're in danger. They're being threatened with murder." "Address?" Vasily gave the address of Ludmila's grandmother. "A car has been dispatched. We'll call you back in an hour." The hour dragged on endlessly. Finally, the phone rang. "The house is empty. The neighbors say the residents left 3 days ago." "Where?" "Unknown. They took their belongings with them." Vasily calmed down a little. So Lyudmila had listened to his advice and taken her daughter away. But where were they now? Were they safe? The answer came an hour later. Lyudmila called him herself. "Vasily, Petrovich, we're being followed." "Where are you?" "In Yaroslavl. We're staying at a hotel." "What happened?" "We're being followed. A black car. For 2 days now." "Get out of there. Immediately." "Where?" "I don't know. Just get as far away as possible." "What are you going to do?" "I'll finish this. Tomorrow everything will be decided. Be careful. They have connections everywhere." "I will." Vasily hung up the phone. Mikhail looked at him with sympathy. "That's a heavy burden," he said, "but I won't give it up." "I know. That's how I remember you from the army. Help me, Mikhail. One last time. With everything I've got. I need a gun." "What for?" "If the journalists don't help, I'll have to take matters into my own hands. Kill, if necessary." Mikhail sighed and took a pistol out of the safe. "Here, but be careful." "Thanks, friend." Vasily took the pistol and checked it. Everything was in order. There were bullets. "Tomorrow I'm going to war," he said. "Then come back alive. I'll try." But Vasily knew there was little chance. Too many enemies. Too few allies. However, there was no other way out. Vladimir's children had to live. And the killers had to be punished. Even if it cost him his life. In the morning, he went to the editorial office. The journalist carefully studied the documents. "This is serious," he said. "But we need additional confirmation." What kind? Witnesses, official sources. How long will that take? A week, maybe 2. I don't have 2 weeks. Then it won't work. We can't publish unverified information. Vasily realized that journalists wouldn't help. They worked too slowly. There was only one way left. Personal revenge. In the evening, he went to Krotov's restaurant. He waited for him to come out. At 10 o'clock, Krotov appeared on the street. He was walking to his car. Vasily intercepted him by the car. Good evening. Krotov turned around. You? Again? Yes, it's me. This is the last time. What do you want? Justice. She's not for sale. I know. That's why I have to take her by force. Vasily took out his gun. You're crazy, whispered Krotov. Maybe, but that doesn't matter anymore. What do you want? I want you to leave the children alone. Fine, I will. I don't believe you. Then what? Then you will die. Right here, right now. Krotov tried to shout, but Vasily pressed the gun against his throat. Be quiet. Don't attract attention. You're not a murderer. You are. For the sake of the children, they'll be looking for me. They'll find you. They won't. I'm already dead. How is that? I died with Vladimir in that dugout. Krotov realized that the old man wasn't bluffing. He was really ready to kill. All right, what do you want? A written confession to the murder of Sokolov. That's a death sentence. For you, yes. For the children, it's life. And if I refuse, you'll die now. Without a confession. Krotov took out his phone. Can I call a lawyer? Yes, but keep it short. Krotov dialed the number. Semenov? It's me. I need help. Urgent. Speak quickly, said Vasily. I've been taken hostage. They're demanding a confession to murder. Enough talk. Vasily knocked the phone out of Krotov's hands. Write a confession. Or die. I don't have any paper. Here. Vasily took out a notebook. Write. Krotov took the pen. His hands were shaking. What should I write? The truth. How you ordered Sokolov's murder. I didn't order ... double quotes, right? Krotov began to write. I, Oleg Vladimirovich Krotov, admit that I participated in the murder of Vladimir Mikhailovich Sokolov in March 2019. Continue. The murder was committed on my orders, together with Semenov and Belov ... Sign it. Krotov signed. Vasily took the sheet. Now you are free. How free? You can go. You won't kill me? No. I have a confession. Krotov quickly walked to the restaurant. Vasily stayed by the car. 5 minutes later, Semyonov and Belov appeared with security guards. Where is he? Belov asked. Over there, Krotov pointed. 4 guards surrounded Vasily. Hands up, Belov shouted. Vasily raised his hands. He hid the gun in his pocket. Where are the documents? Semyonov asked. At home. You're lying. Give them. To me. I won't give them to you. Belov nodded to the guards. They twisted Vasily's arms behind his back and searched him. Here. One of them pulled out Krotov's confession. Semyonov read it and turned pale. Are you completely stupid? He asked Krotov. He pointed a gun at me. What could I do? Shut up and die. Easy to say. Stop arguing, said Belov. Let's solve this problem. He approached Vasily. How many copies did you make? A lot. Who did you give them to? Journalists, investigators, friends. You're lying. Check it. Belov took out his phone and called someone. Check the old man's apartment. Turn it upside down. What are we going to do? Asked Semyonov. Take him away. Find out where the copies are. And then? Then, like with Sokolov, they put Vasily in the car. Belov sat next to the driver. Semyonov and Krotov sat on either side of the prisoner. Where are we going? Vasily asked. Somewhere quiet. We'll talk in detail. The car left the city. They drove for an hour. They stopped at an abandoned factory. "Get out," Belov said. They entered the workshop. It was empty and gloomy. "Sit down," Belov pointed to a chair. Vasily sat down. The guards stood behind him. "So," said Belov, "where are the copies of the documents? With friends? Names?" "I won't tell you. You will." Belov nodded to the guards. One of them hit Vasily in the face. His lip split. "This is just the beginning," Belov said. "It'll get worse. Do what you want. We will." Belov took out a gun. "Last chance. Where are the copies?" "I don't know." "Then goodbye, grandfather." Belov pointed the gun at Vasily. He closed his eyes. Just then, masked men burst into the workshop. Everyone on the floor. "Hands behind your heads." It was the special forces. Vasily couldn't believe his eyes. "Get down." Everyone get down. Belov tried to shoot but was hit by a burst of automatic fire. He fell dead. The others lay down on the floor. "Are you alive?" One of the special forces soldiers asked Vasily. "I'm alive. Who are you?" "FSB. Operation Retribution." "How did you know?" "We've been watching you for a week." "Why?" "It's a matter of national importance. We'll tell you later." Semenova and Krotova were taken away in handcuffs. Vasily was taken to the hospital. Colonel FSB visited him in the hospital. "Vasily Petrovich, thank you for your help." "What help?" "You helped us find a criminal gang. We've been looking for them for 5 years." "How did you find out?" "Your friend Mikhail contacted us. He told us about the documents." "Mikhail?" "He's not just a summer resident. He works for us." "I didn't know that. Now you do." "The case is closed. Semenov and Krotov will be behind bars for a long time." "What about the children?" "They're safe. We found them and took them into protective custody." "Ludmila and her daughter?" "Yes, them too." Vasily breathed a sigh of relief. "So it's all over?" "Everything. Vladimir Sokolov has been avenged." But the colonel was wrong. It wasn't all over. There was one more secret to be revealed. A week after Semyonov and Krotov's arrest, the FSB colonel visited Vasily again. "Vasily Petrovich, I have some questions about the case." "What? I thought it was all over." "Almost. But there are some loose ends." "What are they?" The examination revealed something strange. The blood on the gun does not belong to Vladimir Sokolov. Vasily sat up straight in his chair. "How? Is that possible? The DNA doesn't match." Vladimir Sokolov did not touch that gun, but the note on the butt was written in his hand. "Yes, but the blood is someone else's." "Then whose is it?" "That's what we have to find out." The colonel took out a folder with documents. "We checked Sokolov's entire history. Some interesting details have come to light." "What kind of details?" "Vladimir Sokolov was born in 1975, but there's another Vladimir Sokolov. He was born in the same year, in the same area. A namesake? Not only that, they look very similar, like twins." "Does that change anything?" "It certainly does. The second Sokolov worked in the special services, classified operations." Vasily began to understand. "Do you think there was a switch?" "I think the real Vladimir Sokolov is our employee, and the one everyone knew as the hunter was his double." "Why would he need a double?" "Cover. The real Sokolov was working under a false name. The double provided the cover story." "What happened to the real one?" "He's alive, and he wants to meet you." The meeting took place in a secret FSB facility. Vasily saw a man who looked incredibly similar to the photos of the murdered hunter. "Hello, Vasily Petrovich. I am Vladimir Sokolov." "The real one. I don't understand. How is that possible?" "I'll explain. 15 years ago, I needed a new name for a special operation. They found a double Viktor Morozov. He agreed to live under my name." "Why would he do that?" "Money. A lot of money. Plus a new life. He was hiding from creditors. So it wasn't you they killed? It was him? They killed Victor. But everyone thought it was me. And where were you? On a business trip. In Syria, I just got back. Does Ludmila know? No, she doesn't. To her, I'm a hunter. She never knew the truth. How did you live with that? It was difficult, but the job required sacrifices. What about the children? Katya is my daughter. Dima is Victor's son. But I consider him my own. What will happen now? I'll meet with my family. I'll tell them the truth. How will they react? I don't know. But I can't hide it anymore. The next day, Vasily brought Ludmila and Katya to a safe place. Anna and Dima arrived from Siberia. The meeting was difficult. Ludmila couldn't believe her husband was alive. It's impossible. I saw photos of the body. That was Victor's body. My double. But why didn't you tell me? I didn't have the right to. It was a state secret. For 15 years, I thought I knew you. You knew me. The real me. Just not the whole truth, Ludmila cried. Katya didn't understand what was happening. Dad, is that really you? She asked. Yes, daughter, it's me. But you were killed. I wasn't killed. Another man was killed. It's confusing. I know. But now everything will be honest. Anna was silent. Dima looked at Vladimir with distrust. You're not my father, he said. Biologically, no. But I raised you. I loved you like a son. My father is dead. He was killed. Victor was a good man. He agreed to help the state. And he died because of it. Yes, and I feel guilty. You should. The conversation was painful. But the truth was necessary. What happens next? Ludmila asked. I'm leaving the service. I want to live a normal life. With us, if you forgive me. It will take time. A lot of time. I understand. Vasily listened and understood the family was broken. Too many lies. Too much pain. Can I say something? He asked. Of course, Vladimir replied. Victor Morozov was a hero. He saved your family from creditors. He gave you a new life. That's true, Vladimir agreed. He loved Anna and Dima. It was sincere. I know. Then why didn't you tell them the truth earlier? I was afraid. Afraid of losing my family. And now you've lost both families. Vladimir lowered his head. I know. It's my fault. Not only yours. The system demanded sacrifices. But I could have refused. You could have, but you didn't. Now I'm refusing. I just want to be a father and a husband. It's too late, said Ludmila. 15 years ago, it wasn't too late. Lyudmila ... No, I can't. I can't live with a man who lied to me for 15 years. But our daughter ... Katya will know her father. But we'll live separately. I understand. Anna stood up. We're leaving too. Dima shouldn't see the lies. Anna, wait ... No. Victor is dead. You're a stranger to us. They left. Vladimir was left alone. What now? He asked Vasily. Now learn to live with the consequences. It's hard. Victor lived with the consequences for 2 years, in a dugout, alone. I didn't want him to die. But death came because of your double life. What should I do? Live and remember him. How? Erect a monument to Victor Morozov. Tell the truth about his feat. But it's classified. Declassify it. At least partially. I'll try. They parted ways. Vasily understood that his mission was complete. The truth had prevailed. Although it turned out to be bitter. A month later, he received a letter from Ludmila. Vasily Petrovich, thank you for the truth. Now I understand what happened. Volodya was a good man. He simply chose his duty over his family. I don't condemn him. But I can't forgive him yet. Katya is seeing her father. They are trying to mend their relationship. Time will tell. I bow low to you for everything. Ludmila. Anna also wrote, Dear Vasily Petrovich, Dima now knows the truth about his father. Viktor Morozov was a hero. He agreed to play a dangerous game for the sake of money for his family. I am proud of him. Volodya Sokolov's a stranger, but he helped us understand who Dima's real father was. Thank you. Anna. The last letter was from Vladimir. Vasily Petrovich, I managed to get part of the case declassified. Viktor Morozov was posthumously awarded the Order of Courage. His name has been entered into the Book of Remembrance. A monument has been erected in our village. The inscription reads, Viktor Morozov, hero who died for the truth. Katya often visits the monument. She says that he is her real father. Maybe she's right. I served the state, and he served his family. Which one of us is the real hero? Volodya. Vasily put the letters in a folder. The case was closed, but the memory of him will remain forever. He often thought about Viktor Morozov, a simple man who agreed to live someone else's life, not for glory, not for honors, for money for his family. Perhaps that is true heroism. Not feats of valor in war, but quiet sacrifice in peacetime. Viktor lived in the forest for 2 years, alone. He counted the days by notching his rifle. He waited for the nightmare to end, but the nightmare did not end. He was found and killed. Now everyone knew the truth. He wasn't a coward. He was a hero, and that's what matters. The rifle by the river became a symbol that the truth always comes out. Sooner or later, Vasily put the rifle in a frame. He hung it on the wall. Next to it was a photograph of Viktor Morozov. His grandchildren asked who this man was. A hero, Vasily replied. A real hero. What did he do? He saved a family with his life. Is that true? Yes, it's true. I looked for him myself. And did you find him? Yes, I did, but it was too late. That's a shame. Yes, but now, everyone knows what he was like. Was he a good man? A very good man. The children went off to play. Vasily remained looking at the photograph. Viktor Morozov, 44 years old. A simple worker. He agreed to take part in an adventure. For money. He got a new name, a new life, a new family. But in the end, he lost everything, including his life. The real Vladimir Sokolov served his country. He saved the country from its enemies. Both were heroes, each in his own way. But Viktor paid a high price. He remained in the forest forever. Vasily often visited his grave. The monument was modest, but sincere. Viktor Morozov, loving father and husband, a hero who died for the truth. The truth was simple. A person can do anything for their family, even die. Viktor chose death so that his wife and son could live. Is that not heroism? Vasily thought about this every day for the rest of his life, and the rifle hung on the wall. A reminder that the truth is stronger than lies, even if that truth comes too late, even if it destroys families, even if it causes pain. The truth always wins. And that is the main thing that Vasily Petrovich Gromov, the former investigator who found the rifle by the river, understood. The gun that told the story of two heroes. One served the state, the other served his family. Both are worthy of remembrance. Both deserve respect. Both will remain in people's hearts forever.